Hello, my name is Scuria-Herman, and today I'll be checking out this playlist that I was sent by friend of the channel Ravenous Catalyst in the comment section. Normally I usually do like one-off suggestions, but I noticed also, yes, it's been a minute, I'm coming back to it, I noticed that Ravenous Catalyst left this playlist in my comment section, and I looked through it. I didn't listen to it yet, obviously, but I looked through it, and I saw that one of these videos was a Casual Geographic video, which I watched one of previously. I think that might have been one of the ones that really messed up in the recording, but I also really enjoyed that. And what's cool is there's not only Aesop rock on this playlist, it's also a bunch of things. Obviously, the first few are Aesop rock, and most of it is Aesop rock, but I think it's really cool that it's a taste of everything. And also, I don't know if it's vain, but the playlist is named after me, so I do feel somewhat urged, I guess, to check this out. I mean, if a playlist is named after you, you have to. So, yeah, I think this is actually going to be helpful for me getting back into it, because I know it's been like a month. Depression, employment, yada yada yada. But yeah, I'm excited to check this out. I think what I'm gonna do, and what's gonna help me get back into this, is I'm gonna sort of break from the 1 every 3 schedule, even though I haven't been keeping to it anyway. I'm just gonna start going through these whenever I can. Generally that's what I've been already doing, but it's not really been working out because I've been going at it with a 1 every 3 perspective. I think what I'm going to start doing, especially with this playlist, I'm just going to start going back to back to back to back to back. And I think that'll be helpful. So, I'm probably going to do every video on this playlist. If I skip one, then I probably watched it anyway, and I just didn't feel like I had anything to provide to, I didn't have anything to add. So, but yeah, I'm probably going to do 1 or 2 today. I don't know how much time I have. I do have an appointment in 2 hours, so probably 1. I know that the recordings, the videos usually end up being like 20-30 minutes. Recordings take longer. I cut out a lot. I talk a lot because no one likes to talk to me, so I just let it out loud on this channel. But yeah, that combined with on topic of, I think what I'm just going to start doing is I'm just going to turn on the camera whenever I have a thought, and then just record that, and I'm going to try to get all these out as soon as possible. And yeah, I think that's a good plan, and I want to start doing this. I want this to be the year that I start focusing on this channel. Not really as a profitable thing. I really do want to focus on my career elsewhere, so this will never be like my main focus. It'll never be like, my career, but I think generally this is just something that when I don't do it, I feel sad, because it's just something that I enjoy doing genuinely. So I've rambled on for long enough already, so let's check this out. So the first one, which you would already know from the title, you know more than me, drums on the wheel, and it looks from the thumbnail some sort of military thing. I've made a couple of videos on the military, specifically the Space Force. Could it be the Space Force? Maybe. 5 years ago does match up with the timeline. Is it probably going to be? Probably not. People already probably know that this is not the uniform for the Space Force. I do not know that.
Calling Gamma Ray. This is Major Cigar. Do you read me, Gamma Ray? Gamma Ray, damn it, come in!
First of all, I just had to comment, really cool animation, really cool voice acting. I know, again, not about the music, but really just already, you could probably tell I just leaned forward. Really exciting stuff here so far.
Gamma Ray, please respond. Well, his brains are fried. Pack it up, mission's over.
Do you read me? Do you read me? Do I need to reach through the TV? Do I need to reach through the Ouija? Houston and Meg, I'm too Dini. I'm too
Wait, is it actually Space Force? Did I get it right?
uneasy. out of phase and I'm orange tang and I'm powdered eggs and my radio's been down for days. I just stand around and sound out the phrase and go, do you read me?
Okay, let me go through the lyrics. I feel like I want to analyze this this whole setup here. I mean, there's just so much going on here. There's references to like drugs, cigarettes and lighters and remotes, beans, beer light, legalize it. How's my driving? Call 1-800 whatever. That's a really cool detail. Okay, this isn't really gonna impact anything. Just whatever, missing one of the letters because it's a phone number, so it has to be 7 characters. I don't know why, I really like that. Call 102.5, the lizard. That's really cool. Alright, I just really wanted to take note of this because this is a really complicated scene. And I thought it was very cool. Alright. Calling comrade, this is Major Cigar. Okay. Already, these lyrics got his name wrong. Judging by his nameplate and the fact that he is smoking a cigar, I doubt it's S-A-G-A-R. So I'm gonna find a different set of lyrics. Genius always crashes my computer, but I'm gonna do genius because it has the correct spelling. And I don't want to be incorrect. Calling Gamma Ray, this is Major Cigar, do you read me, Gamma Ray? Gamma Ray, damn it, come in. Gamma Ray, please respond. Welp, his brains are fried, pack it up, mission's over. I like this sequence because it's a very, like... Because also, the voice acting in the beginning of this video, you could tell that there is urgency.
Gamma ray, damn it, come in!
Like, he's, you know, passionate about it. And then immediately, as soon as he's like, well, he's not responding, pack it up, that's it. It's a very militaristic, like, I'm gonna fight for what I believe in, and then what you believe in, you know, ceases to be what you're striving for, and then it's just, okay, turn it off. I don't care anymore. Do you read me? Do you read me? Do I need to reach through the TV? Do I need to teach through the Ouija? Houston, I may have gone to Houdini. Also, the reaching through the TV, that's like that horror trope, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken. But I do like the Houston, I may have gone to Houdini, just because of the setup of like the phonemes there. That's really cool. I'm too uneasy, I'm out of phase, and I'm orange tang, and I'm powdered eggs. Is that hangover stuff? Or am I just... Oh. Astronaut food. Wasn't astronaut ice cream a big deal at some point? I remember there was just a really big fascination with astronaut ice cream when I was like a kid, and then it sort of just went nowhere. And I don't know where it is now. And I never had it, and I never really wanted to. But yeah, apparently that's astronaut food. I thought it was hangover stuff. I guess maybe because I'm influenced by the visuals of this scene with all the like drug and alcohol references. But I thought that was it. But I don't drink, so I wouldn't know either way. But yeah, I really like the setup of the game here, because I feel like it's a parable, like, because I'm comparing it obviously to the US military, looking at militarization versus gamification, and I think there's a line you could draw there, because the gamification of the militarization of America, I think that's a cool concept, sort of like a budding theme. He's obviously going to go somewhere with it if that's the case, but just noticing that for now, I just want to point that out.
I look for the moon graffiti, deep into some hellhole. Come detect this tempo. I've been feeding back in these headphones, beating back a profound fear. Farewell to my breadcrumbs. Is anybody even out there? I'm like out there in that true tweety, that new ether, that do you read me? You don't read me, I'm barely a thing. Staring off, too scared to blink. I might shrink some and I shrink more. Shrink past this pink dwarf. No sign of my pole star, but up here it don't mean north. Deep space and no G-force, and more tumble out to some death bell. Some bleep bleep robot voice, some red light, some send help. Street meet some ET to come deep fry, you know, freak greasery home. Reach out, reap what he sow. Jesus, do you read me? We don't.
Okay, before I comment on the Christianity reference for the 50th time, it go, do you read me, shook up, shoot a beanie, y'all look for the moon graffiti, deep end of some hellhole, come detect this tempo, I've been feeding back in these headphones, beating back a profound fear. Farewell to my breadcrumbs, anybody even out there? I'm like out there in that true 3D, that new ether, that do you read me? You don't read me, I'm barely a thing, staring off, I'm too scared to blink. That was one of the lines that really stuck out to me. I'm barely a thing. Because it's a depersonalization of a sort of like militarized society. And I guess like a gamified society too, because it's sort of like the value proposition of humanity in a gamified reality. No, genius, I don't want to start annotating. That sounded so much more like irritated than I meant it to. The site is called Genius. I might shrink some, and I shrink more, shrink past this pink dwarf. I think pink dwarf is a solar. I think pink dwarf is like a celestial, like a solar thing, like a dwarf planet. I think there's this thing called a pink dwarf. I could be wrong. No sign of my pole star, although up here it don't mean north. Deep space, no G-force, I'm more tumble out to some death bell, some bleep bleep robot voice, some red lights, some send help. Street meat for some ET to come deep fry an old Fritz grease. And re-home, reach out, reap what he sow. Jesus, do you read me? We don't. In this last part, from no sign of my pole star to Jesus, do you read me? We don't. I think that right there is a sort of loss of the, I wouldn't say commodification, I would say the imposed culture of humanity, because humanity exists beyond the sort of values put upon it. Humanity is a larger sense of identity, because, again, not to make it all about myself, I write non-humans all the time. I like writing alien characters. And alien morality is something I'm very interested in because morality is based intricately in culture. So is language. If you think of like any sort of language you've heard, a lot of the phonemes and a lot of like the words themselves are based on the geographical features in which the like land was, like which the people were situated in. Like Scots Gaelic would not have a lot of the words that it has if they weren't like a Gaelic people, or if they weren't in the mountains. There's all these things that form the language based on the location, based on the culture that's pre-existing. And to remove that, to go to space, to be in this vacuum, this vacuous location that is devoid of anything that you put upon it already, that this Earth-like idea. I don't know if I've referenced Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness before on this channel, but I come back to that a lot with this sort of principle of everything that you know and desire, it leaves you and you're left insane, essentially. That's what happens to the hero of the story. And here it's this, a big defining part of culture is religion, and this loss of religion in this end here, Jesus, do you read me? We don't. It's this idea of losing touch with any cultural touchstone.
Sights and blackouts and fog lights and gas clouds, jockey through vacuums, none of our flaps down, it's shocking. Shot off's one small part of some squadron that ain't non-stop till he
one thing I want to ask before I look at the lyrics. Right here, I feel like what we're looking at is like a cockpit of some sort, or like a cabin. And what I'm wondering is, who is the character looking at Major Cigar, I think his name was, some rank, Colonel Cigar, Sergeant Cigar, something Cigar. I think it's Major Cigar because I see the MA on the side of his thing. But yeah, who is this guy talking to here? That's what I'm starting to wonder. If he's talking to anybody. But I feel like with this screen lit up, with this sort of refocusing of the camera, or like I guess zoom of the camera, speaking of my camera turned off, do you read me, Gamma Ray? So he is still trying to reach out to Gamma Ray here, which is interesting because in the first thing we saw him give up, but maybe this is just an echo of the initial attempt. And I play drums on the wheel, whether feeling out of touch or outgunned in the field, drums on the wheel. If Genius could stop glitching out and showing me so many ads, that would be great. This is why I don't use Genius. It's also using up 3 gigs of memory. Bomb sites and blackouts and fog lights and gas clouds. I thought gas clouds was going to be a reference to war crimes. It wasn't really continued with that. It could be. It is a very like heavy emphasis on military and militarization, which, you know, leads to war crimes. But that theme wasn't really continued. It might have been like a quick aside, or I could just be completely wrong here. But that was my initial impression upon hearing that. Jockey through vacuums, none of our flaps down. It's shocking, shot off as one small part of some squadron that ain't once chosen to abort. Now we've honed in on our problem. Non-stop until he stop and see what kind of quadrant he got lost in. Do you read me? That option when y'all's options are exhausted. I've been dropped off in this mosh pit instead of locked into one orbit. But yeah, continuation of these heavy themes of militarization and isolation and all that. Honestly, I don't really have much to comment on here. I just want to get back into the video.
Knock, knock, fall back of this cockpit is my coffin. Boss levels, I'm doomed to repeat. New dance called, do you read me? It evolves beyond the mantra. Once none pinging my transponder. Once what become.
I'm not analyzing the lyrics fully yet, but I do find it interesting that now it's very referential of the gamification. I think that transition is very cool. And the visuals to accompany that.
Y'all play the conjure, been handed back to y'all unresponsive. 10 hut and I'm in sync. Phone home, but just ring a ring. Asteroids that leave marks and black holes that eat stars. Green cheese and GPS, beat decked with detours. Fuel gauge around E Street, my beacons are all blinked out. I might slink up in that junk heap you can't read and or pin down.
Whoa. Alright. Little bit to unpack there. Knock knock, call back, or this cockpit is my coffin. Boss levels, I'm doing a repeat, new dance, I call it Do You Read Me? I like that because it's the combination of the gamification and the intro of them trying to save him. They're trying to remove him from this, you know, unsafe environment, but they obviously aren't going to have his best intentions in mind, because immediately they give up on it. It evolve as a beyond the yonder mantra, once none pinging my transponder. Once what macabre y'all plan to conjure, been handed back to y'all unresponsive. 10 hut, that was the line that really stuck out to me. 10 hut and I'm in sync, phone home, it just ring and ring. It's the reference to essentially alienization. I guess alienation. It's a reference to alienation. But also 10 hut is very military. It's very, you know, drills. So it's routine while being the exact opposite of routine, you know, alien, other, out of sync. Asteroids that leave marks and black holes that eat stars. Green cheese and GPS bedecked with detours. Fuel gauge around E Street and my beacons are all blinked out. I might slink up in that junk heap you can't read and or pin down. Very cool. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna wait to the end of the song to finish up my thoughts on this, but really enjoying this so far. Also, I say this every time, but I really like how different this is from everything else I've heard before from him. I feel like it does generally, I guess in musicality, feel very Aesop, but I do appreciate how theme-wise, it cuts out a separate part than what we've seen before, which I find cool.
Gamma ray, coming!
And I play drums on a wheel with a feeling out of touch or outgunned in the field. Drums on a wheel. And I play drums on a wheel with a feeling out of touch or outgunned in the field. Drums on a wheel.
That's a game? Did I get tricked into advertising a game? Alright. Very cool stuff. Before I look at the comments, I really like the themes of isolation and militarization and gamification. I guess if it is actually a game, I think the gamification is a lot more prescient. And the militarization, I think, is an important theme. I don't know if the game is anti-military. I don't know if I'm anti-military. I'm not saying I am. But I think a lot of the themes presented show this anti-military sort of lean that was interesting. Yeah, in isolation, I already talked about that. The sort of Joseph Conrad sort of complete vacuous nature of this foreign environment, which of course has its basis in racist ideals, because it's like, well, there's no society that can exist outside us, so we live in a savage land and you become a savage. But there is merit to the effect of that without the ideology behind it, because it's not, you're becoming a savage, you're turning into one of them, you're turning into another. It's rather you lose the sense of culture that you held and prized previously, which is still important and meaningful. Alright. I notice that's a thing people say a lot. Like they call rappers poets. I would say, especially because I've been analyzing Aesop rock on a lyrical level more than a musical level, I think I would sort of acknowledge that categorization, but I also do think it's two separate things. I do think that there's a bit of both, but I would categorize him more as a musician than simply a poet, because a poet, when you think about it, has to do less. A lot of poems are short, a lot of poems aren't full song length, a lot of poems don't have choruses. I think it's just a different skill set entirely, and to match up the musicality of a poem to the rhythm of a song is very different from, Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day, which is a sonnet, which is a type of poem. But yeah. Alright, I've expended everything I have to say about that. I think it's very cool. Uploads should be regularly again. If they're not, then but anyway, that's all from me. So until next time, adieu.